At this time, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the October 28th board meeting? Go ahead.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the October 28, 2024 board meeting.
Got a second from Mr. Satterfield? All opposed?
Ms.
All in
Snipes,
favor?
I have
Yep.
a motion to amend the minutes.
Okay.
I move to amend the minutes to reflect that Mr. Satterfield left during executive session and that Mr. Scully arrived during executive session.
Second.
Second. Okay. I want to describe an event that occurred and the reason why I made the motion to amend. During executive session of our last board meeting, there was a break, basically, and I left to use the restroom, and in the hallway between the meeting room that we were in and where the restrooms were, I was viciously, verbally attacked by Mr. Satterfield. He was inches from my face, screaming at me, to the point, and there was no preface to this. Executive session had gone well. At 62 years of age, I burst into tears because I've never in my entire life been treated like that. And I did not bring it up before now because I honestly thought that he might apologize. And I also didn't want it to affect the candidacy of someone
Point of
that
order.
he had supported.
Is this
I
out
want
of
this in
order?
the record. I
Is
have
this out of order?
a copy of the incident that I wrote up the next morning. That night, I met with the head of security,
This is
the
not
sheriff
proper.
for
This is out of
Richland
order.
County, Dr. Ross. Ms. Barnhart joined us because he also
Mrs.
yelled
Tuttle.
at her.
Mrs.
Mr.
Tuttle.
Hogan had to remove him from the meeting that we
Mrs.
were
Tuttle.
in.
Not true.
So I also have a copy of the sheriff, that I
Mrs. Tuttle.
reported to the sheriff.
I think there was a point of order was recognized.
Point of order. Did you want to say
Yeah, this is out of order. It's not appropriate for this meeting.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go back and forth with Ms. Huddle. Ms. Huddle knows better than this. I know that she's giving her perspective, maybe. Ms. Huddle several times in executive session has attacked Mr. Scully, Ms. Hines, Dr. Ross, and I didn't attack her. There was as most of the people in the community know, there was a flyer put out that had a picture of my daughter on there, and it was by a group called Defeating Communism. And Ms. Huddle was on the flyer along with her cohorts. And I said that is completely inappropriate, and I was worried about my daughter's safety. So I did express my concern. We had 2 Richland County deputies there said there was nothing wrong. I had done nothing wrong. She was not threatened. She was not touched. She's exaggerating this whole situation. But this is very inappropriate to discuss this openly in a board meeting.
Your
So-
behavior was
Okay.
totally inappropriate. Okay,
Point
you
of order,
screamed
Ms.
in
Huddle.
my face,
Ms.
and
Huddle.
there are witnesses to what you did.
Ms.
You
Huddle.
shouldn't even be on this board.
Ms. Huddle.
Totally inappropriate. There are
This is-
witnesses.
We have students at our meeting. I think
I know we do.
we need to
And
stop.
my daughters who were at Chapin High School when he was the principal are the ones who encouraged me to do this. It's time that women stood up.
We have an amendment to the motion. All those in favor of Ms. Huddle's amendment to the motion? All opposed? All right, we have the original motion on the floor to approve the minutes from the October 28th meeting. All those in favor? All those opposed? That takes us to public participation. Ms. Taylor, I'm aware we have some members for public participation. Before they are called up, I will like to read the following statement. The board welcomes and encourages public participation. We respectfully ask that you adhere to the procedures provided in Board Policy BEDH, public participation at meetings. Your comments should be limited to 3 minutes and must remain on either the topic noted on your sign-in form or a listed agenda items. Questions asked during public participation will be handled in accordance with Board Policy BEDH. Mrs. Taylor?
Thank you. Sarah Kimberlin is here to speak about teacher retention.
Evening. The children are watching. In my 20 years teaching at Chapin High School, this is one of many things I have learned. The students take character lessons from us and from all the adult figures in their lives. These are not just lessons on what we intend to teach them, but also what nerdy English teacher terms we call indirect characterization. Students see how we treat each other, how we speak to each other, how we write about each other. They hear us speaking to them about the importance of respect, responsibility, and civility in public discourse, and they want to see us living these values since we ask them to do the same. They see us saying that bullying is a problem in our schools, yet then they see it in the adult world arriving in our mailboxes at election time, along with a lack of accountability for that bullying on social media, and further bullying of district parents and constituents who dare to speak out about it. As a teacher, I even fear being bullied in ways seen or unseen for speaking up tonight. I am proud and lucky to call Mary Wood a close friend and a dear coworker. I will claim her any day, anywhere. She is always welcome in my house or in my classroom. Let me make that perfectly clear. However, even if I had no idea who she is, any teacher from our district whose name and image is vilified in mailers across 2 counties, after large donations to the source of those mailers from people who ran as a block for election, is no coincidence. To call this anything less than bullying is a gross understatement. The mailer that went out was from a PAC called Defeating Communism, a name which is redolent of 1950s McCarthyism. Some board members apparently think it is appropriate, or at least not condemnable, to have a mailer from this PAC with which several are associated go out with the name, image, and stories of an employee of our district, labeling her as public enemy number 1. Have you no decency? At the board forum, I watched each candidate talk about the importance of teacher recruitment and retention and how much each of you value teachers. Moving forward, I want and need to believe this. Please know that as board members, the students are watching you. They see how you treat teachers. They see how you treat each other. They notice if you have different expectations for others than you do for yourselves. If you truly had nothing to do with a mailer that promotes hate speech and threats against a teacher and her children, have the courage to condemn it and say at a minimum, I'm sorry that was associated with my name. And don't lambast a district parent's personal business as a comment on a public Facebook page that campaigns for school board. Don't we teach our children about accountability, responsibility, respect, and leadership through both actions and words? The children are watching. What do you want them to see?
Dr. Catherine Ramp is here to speak about growth and development.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Catherine Ramp, and I'm here to talk about growth and development. But first, John Lewis once said, if you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, you have a moral obligation to do something about it. And these words resonate because what is happening here is not right. It's troubling to see board members prioritize their political ideologies over the needs of our teachers and students. Public schools are not meant to be battlegrounds for culture wars. When one is accused of being a bully, the appropriate response should be reflection and growth, but the behavior has continued, and this is deeply concerning, given the positions of authority held here. Those who have been entrusted by the stakeholders of District 5 with power and responsibility should elevate their conduct to match the gravity of their roles. Teachers are unfairly being targeted and misrepresented for simply doing their jobs. Everyone has a right to their political beliefs, but it's unacceptable for those beliefs to undermine the neutrality and inclusivity expected of a public school district. By catering to a small, loud minority of voices, some members of this board have contributed to a false, divisive, and harmful narrative that our teachers are indoctrinating students. This is a myth that does real harm, and the consequences of using individuals as political pawns are not abstract, they are deeply personal. Mary Wood, for example, she did not ask to be thrust into the national spotlight or have her image circulated across Chapin and Irmo. She asked to teach. Yet she has repeatedly had to defend her name against baseless accusations. Mary is an exceptional teacher. And it saddens me that her worth is not being recognized and protected by this board. Instead, she has been vilified and used by a few of you. This is not how we treat our teachers in District 5. She is a professional and has acted with nothing but professionalism, and I would invite you to follow her example. If teachers like me are expected to keep our personal political beliefs out of the classroom and maintain neutrality, it is only fair to hold board members by the same standard. This is a public school district after all, and our mission is to love and serve every student. Your primary allegiance should be to the teachers and students of this district, to those of us who are actually in the classrooms shaping the future. Please assume good intentions. When I saw your recent statement attempting to distance yourselves from the controversial mailer, I couldn't help but notice that something was missing. So let me suggest what could have been said instead. You could have said, the mailer was reprehensible and does not reflect my views or those of Lexridge 5. We treasure our teachers here in Lexridge 5, and I will do whatever is necessary to ensure this is rectified. A response like this would have shown the good faith and ethical behavior that we expect from our elected officials. It's likely I'll face consequences for speaking at this board meeting tonight. Somehow, some way, they'll get their pound of flesh. But unfortunately, that does not reflect a commitment to nonpartisan democratic processes. Rather, it smacks of censorship and intimidation. But it doesn't have to be this way. Septima Clark said, you know the measure of a person by how much they develop in their life. Some people slow down in their growth after they
I'm
become
sorry,
adults.
your time is
I
up.
believe we can all grow and develop and change, and I believe it of my students, and I believe it of you. Thank you.
Lee Bryant is here to speak about what teachers do.
Let us begin with a Paul Simon lyric. Once upon a time, there was an ocean. Now it's a mountain range. Something unstoppable set into motion. Nothing is different, but everything's changed. Those lines communicate something essential about life as a teacher. But to be honest, I never wanted to be one. That is until I spent 3 years at Southern Illinois University, Carbondale, earning a master's in fine arts and creative writing and teaching 2 sections of college composition per semester. Those years changed me. In the 23 since, I've earned my teaching certificate through PACE, taught at Hillcrest Middle School for 2 years, at Brooklyn Casey High School for 15, and for the past 6, I've been at Chapin High School. At CHS, I work with 12 other English teachers who inspire me daily to be a better educator and a better person. These educators, though entirely different, are the same. They are kind, committed. Every day they prove their character, none more so than Mary Wood. Despite an ongoing campaign to make her as miserable as possible, she keeps returning to her classroom, to her students. She is compassionate, she is courageous. What she is not is a communist. What she is a teacher. If you've never planned and implemented lessons and adjusted them on the fly based on students' needs, or have not taught in a decade or more, you are clueless about what it is we do. That is not an insult. It's a statement of fact. I thank those of you seated before me who embrace this fact. You speak to teachers, you visit classrooms, you're trying to find ways to support us better by learning more about what we do. What we do, according to English teacher Patrick O'Connor, is tinker with chemicals, create mathematical equations, make music, and analyze the nuances of language in order to give every child an equal shot at learning. What we do not do is indoctrinate students according to some imagined liberal agenda. We do not wake up every morning, reread the Communist Manifesto, and then tweak our plans to reprogram every child according to Marxist philosophy. That myth is as ridiculous as it is untrue. Yet some of you seated before me perpetuate that myth for political gain. I fear you've become so mired in politics, you've forgotten your responsibility to safeguard the equal shot at learning of every child. You've also forgotten that an attack on one teacher is an attack on all teachers. And no school, no district can survive without teachers.
Mary Higginbotham is here to speak about Chapin High School School Improvement Council.
Good evening. I'm Mary Higginbotham. I'm the chair of the Chapin High School School Improvement Council, and I'm here simply to say welcome to our board, our returning members, as well as our new board, and we look forward to you all working on behalf of our students and our schools, and thank you very much.
Thank you.